I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough.
Happy Monday evening, everybody, and welcome to Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz, and welcome to the Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series in the Sim 500 group right here on Turn 1. I'm in the booth tonight, shared a little bit of something different. We're going to bring Kevin England in. Kevin, listen, first broadcast, I'm excited for this. You bring a wealth of knowledge about this group. Who should we look out for tonight?
Yeah, I mean, David Schildhouse back on top after a brawl of a finish last week with Josh Parker. I think the drivers that concentrate on being smooth and fast are the ones to watch. I'd keep an eye on the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr.
Yeah, Mark's always quick and there for a good time. That'll be interesting to watch him battle up front. The drivers wrapping up warm-ups and getting ready to grid up here at Chicagoland. 130 laps under the sun here at Chicago. Kevin, we hear a lot from the drivers tonight about how difficult it is to get around Chicagoland and the characteristics of these cars making it a little difficult. What do you expect to see?
Yeah, but drivers are facing the great unknown after the iRacing updates took place this week. It's supposed to be more impacts from the air while racing in traffic, the dreaded dirty air. Clean air racing out front likely to be quite important. So I think some of these drivers are going to look to see if they can get themselves out into the lead early. They're just going to kind of have to test the feel of the race in traffic. I think that's what a lot of them are going to be studying tonight here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. Could not agree more. We saw Clean Air really dominating at Chicagoland, but this is an entirely different car in the Cup Series here for this Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series. Again, Sim 500, our first broadcast over on Turn 1 for this group. Let's take a quick look at the starting grid as the pace car rolls off. Starting out front is going to be Bobby Wetzel and Mark Jorgensen on the front row. Doy Woods, David Comstock, row number 2. EJ O'Rourke, Jose Gonzalez starting P6. Justin Fuller, Joey Jatina, Bentley Glazer, and Wesley Donaldson rounding out your top 10.
11th starting spot tonight here for Brian Macklin. Tyler Dalton to his outside. It's Thomas George and Randy Yoakum making up row number 7. 15th starting spot for Chad Coleman with Joe Hudson to his outside. It's Charles Woods and David Schildhouse starting 17th and 18th. 19th tonight, Robert Fryery III, and it's Troy Haight in the 46 starting 20th.
And I show Kevin Stone, Troy Hoyt, Erica Arnold, Jason Pick, Mike Montesi, Anthony Calatoni, Stephen Miles, Jason Karlovich, Glenn Campbell, and Nelson Rivera rounding out your top 30. And we're going to get ready to go green flag racing here at Chicago. Up front they go. Bobby Wetzel, Mark Jorgensen Jr., one of Kevin's mentions there. We'll have to pay close attention about where and what happens on this front row here tonight.
Pace car just about to turn left, turn the field over to the 9 of Bobby Wetzel. First pole for him this year as green is out. Everybody charges off to turn 1. Really, you're looking for a clean first lap, trying to find your space, trying to find your pace. And we're racing here at Chicagoland.
We are. Bobby Wetzel out front by about half a car length or so, just underneath him. Rolling out of turn number 2. Mark Jorgensen, David Comstock, Doy Woods, Jose Gonzalez. Rolling down the backstretch here. A continued side-by-side battle for the lead as they roll into 3.
Driving through turn number 3, here comes Jorgensen to the bottom. He's to the door. Wetzel comes rolling out of turn number 4. He's got to squeeze the car down. Looks like Wetzel might beat him to the line. It's dead heat. Not sure who led that one as they're side-by-side heading to turn 1.
Looking back a little further, David Comstock is single filed out with Jose Gonzalez. They're fanning out 3 wide as they come out of 2. That is Jose Gonzalez, EJ O'Rourke, and Doy Woods all battling back there around 5th. But Mark Jorgensen gets free and clear as they roll into turn number 3 in front of Bobby Wetzel.
Jorgensen leads the charge out of turn number 4. Right now, the top 5 kind of single filed out. The 41 is making the charge to slot into that 4th shot. EJ O'Rourke in the Units Toyota securely has that, and he's on the high side. He's already up hunting the fence here at Chicagoland. And I heard from the garage all day today what drivers are going to do is be searching for grip.
We see this Chicagoland racetrack really wide, a lot of different grooves that these drivers could take, and we're starting to see that already happen. Last time by Mark Jorgensen running a 30.96 there, and Kevin, that's impressive to put this kind of speed together early, but talk to me about the tire wear. Obviously going to be a really critical factor here tonight on this abrasive Chicagoland surface.
Yeah, drivers said that they could, as we go under caution here for the first time tonight, incident. I'm not really sure. Maybe in turn 2.
Yoakum, he is slow on the front stretch there in the number 8 Chevrolet. Let's see if we can take a quick look and find out what may have happened there to bring out the first caution here.
It looks like he just might have gotten loose up off the corner and slid down, did a little agricultural racing over there in the grass.
Yeah, that, you know, Kevin, we talked about it pre-race, and you've heard it through the garage how loose these cars feel tonight. And I think that kind of goes back to my point of how these cars will feel throughout the race, the handling conditions, and again, this gritty surface here at Chicago. How critical are these tires going to be tonight?
Yeah, they're really going to be critical. We heard drivers say the tire wear is a huge factor, and they can get to the end of the tire run. Well, from a fuel mileage standpoint, that's the other factor of it. They're not really sure whether they're going to duck in before the tanks run dry. And, you know, we could see from Randy Yoakum's spin, a lot of drivers complained about lack of grip on throttle coming up out of turn 4. And when Randy slid sideways, that takes the wear out of the car. These drivers, I think, a little bit, Sean, will be on the bottom line. They'll drift up to the high line later. It depends on what tire wear is, whether it's running on that right front or the right rear. But, yeah, everybody universally said tire wear is going to be a major story here tonight.
Right now, Mark Jorgensen Jr. leads under caution for the first time here on lap number 6. Bobby Wetzel, P2. EJ O'Rourke, David Comstock, Jose Gonzalez, Joey Jatina, Doy Woods, Wesley Donaldson, Justin Fuller, and Bentley Glazer, your top 10. Kevin, I think, you know, in that top 10 group, a couple names stick out to me. One of them, Jose Gonzalez. He's sitting back there in 5th right now, always really quick on a lot of these different tracks. I've seen him be fast in a lot of different cars. I also expect to see the 51 up here, Justin Fuller, running 9th right now up here front and center. He knows how to save a little bit of tire and be fast at the same time. Who else in that top 10 stands out right now in the early running?
Yeah, Gonzalez is outstanding on the long run and taking care of his equipment. And if you ask Justin Fuller, he'll tell you he's junk in this car. He just can't really seem to figure it out. I like the fact that David Comstock, who's been putting together quietly a solid season, he's right there in the top 10. So that's a good way to start this race, is to have the track position up front. And Comstock is, you know, up there in the points. He's top 10 in points, and he struggled the end of last season. So it's good to see he's starting to put the equation together here to get some good runs as the summer months come for the Sim 500 group.
That's right. Again, as we talked about at the top of the broadcast, our first race for the Cooks Landscape Group right here on turn 1. That's the Cup Series, rather. You can catch this group right here Monday night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, right here on turn 1. We're up next week, and then we're off for 2 weeks, but then we'll bring you back down the stretch through the late summer and into fall right here with the Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series, brought to you by Sim 500. Those pace car lights are off. Kevin, I know this restart may be a little interesting. Those newer tires, obviously still going to be a factor, not a whole lot of laps on them. And we saw them kind of maybe learn a little bit at the top there. What do you expect to see here?
Yeah, I think, again, these drivers will probably single out right away. They know they need to take care of tires and not get in some side-by-side battle where they're wearing out their stuff. It's way too early, working lap number 7. I think they'll settle in, you might see a little bit of a contest here for the lead, but right now these drivers, like you said, I think they're learning and they're going to have to make sure they take care of their tires for the long run.
Agreed. That pace car is going to duck down pit road. Jorgensen, Wetzel on that front row. Slowly creeping down to the restart zone. They see the green flag, and we're back racing on lap number 8. Bad outside start there. What happened to Bobby Wetzel?
Yeah, maybe Bobby Wetzel seems to have spun the tires. That stacked everybody back. Good news is everybody kind of minded their P's and Q's. The 13 of Comstock got on binders. He was able to clear and get alongside of Wetzel, but the damage is done. He's dropped back quite considerably as the top 5 has single filed here through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, EJ O'Rourke in the 41, up 4 spots here. Able to take advantage of that poor start and get up front. Jorgensen's going to fall in line about 2 car lengths back behind him. Jose Gonzalez, Doy Woods, Justin Fuller round out the single file top 5. As you mentioned, Kevin, Wetzel back there currently sitting 6th. This is probably not the ideal situation for him, marred back now in traffic.
Yeah, he had some of that clean air being up front and was contesting for the lead. Now he has to ride in line there and just start to work his way patiently back after slipping the tires. Tell your driver to keep an eye on Chad Coleman, currently running outside the top 10. The WBD diecast Camaro running in the 13th position. The veteran knows how to get it done on a track that is slippery and takes tire wear. Well, he looks out his left side window and sees David Schildhouse go streaming by as we have one down in the grass on the back straightaway out of that top 5, able to gather it up. It's going to come back to the racetrack. That might have been O'Rourke down there in the grass.
I do show EJ O'Rourke through the grass. That was our leader. A lot of action all over the racetrack, but right now, Mark Jorgensen Jr. takes the lead here as they come to lap number 11 at Chicagoland, with Jose Gonzalez now moving up to that second place position. And Kevin under caution here once again. Looks like Doug Sigmund involved. James Durr may have also been involved with that. Sigmund really slow down on the apron there. Another driver taking a lap through the grass.
Yeah, it looks like maybe problems for Dewar. He got loose out of turn number 4 from the high side, went down to the apron, and unfortunately for the 0-4, nothing to do but whack the back of the tracker boats and ATV's Camaro as it slid down the racetrack. Dewar down in the grass, had to call for a tow, and I'll tell you, if you could have a bad luck horseshoe, it would be for that 0-4. I feel for Doug Sigmund. He just cannot catch a break back there as the 0-8 slid across his path.
Yeah, really nothing you could do there. Obviously, here at Chicago, the grip already a factor, but trying to get on the binders at top speed coming out of turn 4 here, it's just not going to work out for you. Well, Mark Jorgensen Jr. in the lead. Jose Gonzalez, Doy Woods, Justin Fuller, and Bobby Wetzel's worked his way up to the top 5 after that poor restart. We're going to step aside for just a moment. You're watching Turn 1. Back live here at Chicago as they're under caution. Get ready to go back green flag racing as they take lap 15. Kevin, we had some pit stops under this caution.
Yeah, I can't help but think that I looked at two drivers in particular pitted. The 93 of Kevin DeBrown, the 66 of Tommy Ryan, both of them back there filled up their tanks. You and I were talking during that little break that sometimes what happens if they can get past a couple laps, they leg it out and you'll see a 50-lap run. We see these contrarian strategies from these two drivers. The Virginia811.com Camaro of Tommy Ryan is going to be great on the long run. I can promise you that. And Kevin DeBrown, running top 5 in points, has put together a number of respectable finishes in the last couple weeks, and being on this alternate strategy could pay dividends later tonight.
Definitely could, as the pace car is going to head down pit road. Jorgensen Jr. and Gonzalez on the front row. Green flag back out. Oh, it looks like that outside line may be a little bit of a struggle. That's Jose Gonzalez. Maybe spinning the tires there just a little bit. It's going to hold up that outside line as they roll off into one.
Where misfortune for some provides fortune for others. Doy Woods getting a good charge. He's going to come up into the top 3. The GT Haviland Ford looking on the outside. He's still
Big
got the
wreck
challenge.
down the back stretch. Several cars involved here, including Chad Coleman, and a couple others are still wrecking as they roll into 3. That is not ideal there.
Yeah, the good news is plenty of time from this incident. This car's coming back to the racetrack like worms crawling out of the mud after. Rain, I'm looking at or whose car is that down there spewing? It's Stony Benfield. That car is destroyed coming through the grass.
Sure is. Man, I tell you what, Kevin, that unfortunately took out some of those fast guys we were talking about. Unfortunately, Tommy Ryan involved in that incident. Chad Coleman, Nelson Rivera, Gerald Livingston, Glenn Campbell, Doug Roth, Joe Hudson, Randy Yoakum, unfortunately involved in this incident as well, and several others. Going to bring out the caution here on lap number 16.
Yeah, I mean, that happened up in the front of the field, and then everybody else just took evasive action. I'm not really sure what happened. I saw the one car step out. That would be Comstock. Car went sideways, and when he came back and slid into the slot, got tagged by Wesley Donaldson, and he was running in the 6th position when that occurred. And unfortunately, the two of them making contact went across the racetrack, and nobody had any place to escape back there, as there were cars down in the grass on the median and the high side. And it was a good old-fashioned melee on the backstretch.
The big one here at Chicagoland, not something you normally see, but again, these drivers trying to get a handle on these Cup Series cars. This is a new iRacing update for everybody, but on top of that, this racetrack is just notoriously not easy to get around. The surface is war, really abrasive, and these cars in the setup is, you know, leading to a little bit of a loose condition. We're going to see probably a lot of that, especially corner off here tonight at Chicagoland. So that shakes up the top 10, Kevin. Mark Jorgensen and Jose Gonzalez, Doy Woods, Justin Fuller, and Bobby Wetzel. But then, sitting 6th right now is the 14 of Joey Jatina, and he's probably looking for a pretty consistent finish here tonight, currently running 6th.
Yeah, I mean, you know, misfortune for some spells fortune for others, and this shuffles the deck quite a bit. It's going to put some fast cars out in the back, but holy cow, pit road is busy. These drivers trying to get their damage finished and not go a lap down, but unfortunately a couple of them took substantial hits. One of the big ones, I called him out earlier, the 38 is in the pit box trying to get service done. He's going to go a lap down trying to get his damage fixed.
Absolutely. That's Chad Coleman. Again, down pit road, trying to get some of those repairs wrapped up. As you mentioned, Kevin, it's got a long way to go here still, but I have a feeling that's probably going to end the competitive night out of Mr. Coleman.
Yeah, I'm still trying to tally how many cars were involved. It might have been like almost half the field back there. It's quite a few hits. DeAndre Kane was involved. Josh Parker was involved. The 44 of Glenn Campbell was involved. I mean, it's easier probably to go through the list of who wasn't involved. Mike Montesi took evasive action. I don't know that he got a piece of it, but he was certainly right in the mix there. As the 43 of Doug Roth slowed down and drove through the cars like he was navigating a parking lot at the mall. And somehow he got the Toyota Petty schemed car through that melee back there on the backstretch. Good hands for Doug Roth.
Pace car's going to head down pit road. Mark Jorgensen, Jose Gonzalez back to the green flag. That outside line still not really going very well. That is going to get Mark Jorgensen out front. 4 car lengths and growing. Jose Gonzalez, Doy Woods, Justin Fuller. Here comes Doy Woods along the inside, right down there to the very bottom, trying to take the short way around. We got another car. Was that Bentley Glazer down there nearly on the apron coming out of 1, or coming out of 2 rather. And then we see Bobby Wetzel sitting 5th right now, working his way back up front. Our pole sitter had that rough restart and paying for it in some traffic here as they come across the stripe.
Yeah, worked up low on the back straightaway. He's trying to recover, and this reset has kind of given him a bit of a respite from his problems earlier as well. We've got caution again, trouble out the back of the pack.
Yeah, it looks like
maybe Randy Yoakum again.
And Stoney Benfield involved as well.
Pastor's not having a good night.
I also show Alan Wild may have had a little bit of a hand in this. Let's take a quick look at the turn 1 replay. They come across the stripe. Oh, it looks like somebody got into the wall coming down the front stretch and then just bottled it up right there at the entrance to 1. That's a unique place to get caught up in something. But ultimately under caution here once again at Chicago.
It's a turf war there for the 44 of Glenn Campbell. He had the bottom line, and he and the 8 of Randy Yoakum were arguing a little bit for racetrack. It looked like Glenn Campbell had a quarter panel down underneath, and not sure if the spotter on the 8 didn't let him know he was down there low, and unfortunately contact turned the 8 in front of a couple cars. We're back under caution number 4 here on lap 21.
Kevin, let's quickly turn our look over to the point standings so far here tonight. One of the ones to certainly talk about is going to be David Schildhaus. You mentioned him being one of the fast cars up front. He's up 9 spots on the night. Had a pretty solid season so far. Currently showing, 3 wins on the season. Is he's one of the serious contenders here for this championship, or were those 3 wins just flukes?
Yeah, actually, it's 3 poles and 9 wins, so no fluke there. David Schildhaus has been the class of the field. 2 wins for Justin Fuller, the only other driver to get 2 in the win column. And you got a couple drivers, though, that have been coming on. The current leader right now has a win in the win column. Stephen Miles win in the win column, and have been showing improvement each and every week as we roll into the summer months. But so far, Schildhaus has checked the box quite frequently. And he's coming tonight. I think one of the reasons he's charging this early in the race is I know that he knows track position and clean air are a premium, and it looks like he's clawing his way to try and find it.
Yeah, we're throwing those show notes completely out the window tonight. Those stats are a little wonky. I think those are from my ARCA notes from last night. Either way, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin England in the booth with us tonight here on Turn 1. Kevin, we appreciate you being here. I tell you what, you talked about the 20 working his way up front but taking his time. How much do these cautions benefit the fuel run with that tire wear? It kind of drags everybody forward. And then who do we see potentially maybe take a risk and go down and pick up new tires? Say if they get a 10, 15 lap run and then under caution again, will those new tires be that much more fast after about 50 laps?
I would think that this might be a reasonable time to take your first set of tires if you think a green flag is coming. For these drivers, there's a couple unknowns here. Is caution cools off the tires, and then they heat them back up, and they've had heat-cold cycles, so they're not really sure how that's going to perform. And, you know, these cautions also perform the opportunity to drop the clutch, shut the motor off, do a little fuel savings. I think if they can get to halfway, that might be able to call it done, but I would imagine a couple of these drivers are also trying to lift a little bit, save a little fuel. Is if we get into a long run, that can pay dividends with shorter pit stops later on tonight.
That halfway point being lap number 65. We still got a ways to go as Mark Jorgensen Jr., Doy Woods, Jose Gonzalez, Justin Fuller Bobby Wetzel, Bentley Glazer, your top 3 rows. Get ready to go back green flag racing here. Under the warm 80+ degree sunshine at Chicagoland. We see some cloud coverage over in 1 and 2. We'll see if that plays a factor for him before too long. But the pace car is going to head down pit road. Kevin, take it away on this restart.
2x2x2. Green is out. They're going to roll down to turn number 1. Jorgensen gets the jump as he is the car that gets to start it. He's away in clean air. He's got Jose Gonzalez in behind him with Doy Woods to the high side. Doy is sideways through turn number 2. Car steps out. He gathers it. Everybody sees it. Tastes a base of action. It's unfortunately, again, EJ O'Rourke trapped behind that as everybody else kind of saw the signal and was able to cut left, but we stay green as they head on turn 4.
As they come across down to the front stretch, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Jose Gonzalez, Bobby Wetzel single filed out. And then you've got Justin Fuller. And here comes David Shieldhouse. We talked about those 9 wins and an impressive run out of the out of the number 20 car, currently running 7th. Oh, he's loose coming off the corner. That's going to pretty much give up all that progress and actually going to hold up a couple cars as they roll off into 3.
Yeah, watching these drivers pick and choose their lanes, I see them down low on the corners trying to hunt that white line. Maybe the grip down there right at the bottom with this banking being the way it is. That's kind of unusual, you would think, with the, banking that they have. They would be up on the corners, 18 degrees of banking in the turns, but they're down there on the flats, and my guess is there's grips down there on the bottom. It's not so much about the short way around, but a lot of drivers also choosing to pick through that second and third line. Only EJ O'Rourke has been the brave one going to the high side, and I do see him making a little bit of ground as he works around the New Jersey driver Anthony Calantoni, who's currently running 12th.
Yeah, we saw EJ O'Rourke and Shieldhouse as well, running a little bit higher. That's Calatoni also running in that 3rd or 4th groove up there near the wall. And I definitely agree. I would have expected them to run a little bit higher, leverage the banking to get the car through the corner, but no, including our leaders, most of these cars tried to get down to the bottom, and we saw Jose Gonzalez get a little loose off of 4, but they are out now to a 1.5 second lead up to 3rd place. Joey Jatina, who has got the pack behind him on the hunt here, Kevin, as they roll out of 2. It looks like it's a fanned out cluster back there coming down the backstretch.
Yeah, tense moment over in turn number 2 for Jason Karlovaj. His car stepped out. He yawed it over to the left, tried to catch it as we got one sideways through the middle of the corner. That's the 6 of George. He's down on the apron. Tell you what, these guys have their hands full. And I heard him talking about the bumps, unsettling the car in 3 and 4. It almost looks like a roller coaster ride for these guys.
I'm certainly glad I'm up here in the booth tonight instead of in the car. These drivers with the Cooks Landscape Group Sim 500 Cup Series have got their hands full tonight. As we see David Shieldhouse, he's up to the highest I think I've seen anybody go in turn 4 so far. It looks like Bobby Wetzel fell back to 7th, but he's also going to join in on that high line run. Keep in mind that high line allows these cars to keep the RPM in it, they keep the momentum up, but right now I think it's all about survival for some of these guys on these tires.
Yeah, I actually like the high line. I feel like you could run up there. If you're running the bottom, you're going to heat the tires up differently than if you're running the top. And we'll see somebody like Tyler Dalton switch lanes on purpose to just try and get even wear one and even tire temperature. As there's a car sideways, Montesi goes down into the apron. Just about every lap, he's sideways in the grass. I'm not sure if that's going to draw a caution. Is he locked it down? Yeah, it is. When the car is yawed sideways and it comes back up on the racetrack, the threat of it coming back into the racing groove is going to draw a caution. And unfortunately for the Trans Service Chevrolet, it is Mike Montesi bringing out caution number 5 here on lap number 31.
2 drivers that didn't want to see that come out is Mark Jorgensen Jr., Jose Gonzalez. They were nearing a 2-second lead out front. These 2 have got it figured out. We're going to step aside and come back to you here with a couple news stories. Jorgensen, Gonzalez, Jatina, Glazer, and Shieldhouse, your top 5. You're watching Turn 1. Deferring pit strategies for everybody here tonight. Jose Gonzalez, EJ O'Rourke elected to stay out, but Kevin DeBrown, you called it earlier, kind of leveraging that strategy to his benefit, came early. He's up 33 spots, sitting third right now.
Yeah, Kevin's going to take advantage of that clean air that they've been fighting for. This is a way to get it. He sits there in third. He does have older tires than everybody else, but he also has track position. His tire's only 12 laps old, so I think that's not that much of a detriment. We have new players up in the front. Patrick Colby stayed out, the 31 of Eric Arnold is now in the top 5, and Tyler Dalton, one of those drivers that knows how to take care of his tires, just ride in the back, doesn't make a lot of noise, and when he can get the track position, he'll take advantage of it. We'll have to keep an eye on that number 19.
Yep, Tyler Dalton always quick here for a good bit of laps. It'll be interesting to see how he's able to hang on to it and leverage some of that track position. He's going to restart 6th. Okay, pay close attention to that outside line. That's EJ O'Rourke. Both these drivers with those older tires, they get rolling. Green flag back out as they come across the stripe.
Decent start for O'Rourke. He's able to drop down, cover the position. He slots into that second spot, but he's going to give it up to go to the high side. He's going to charge outside of your leader. He might have the lead running down as here comes DeBrown on the bottom. They're 3 wide out of turn 2.
EJ O'Rourke making it look easy, using the high side. New leader here on lap number 35. And then it looks like DeBrown again back to the bottom, challenging Gonzalez. Side by side as they roll through 3 and 4. Eric Arnold, Patrick Colby rounding out the top 5 as they get back to racing here on lap number 36.
Tell you what, O'Rourke did that with precision, and he did an outstanding job. He looked like he was shot out of a cannon over there on turn number 2, and he is leading the field as they single file out here. One of the things you and I were talking about during the break is these drivers really have to figure out how to squeeze back into the throttle without spinning the tires up off the corner, especially if they exit down low. But, you know, where do you get your speed? The drive off from the center off of the corner. So they're really in a confusing situation. They want to hammer the throttle down out of the center of the corner, and every time they do, they're at risk, it seems like, at random, for the car to step out and get sideways. So they have their hands full. As look at Schildhaus running back there in the 10th position. He's got the 88 of Jorgensen. The 2 of them are going to scrap for position. They want to be the first one to the front.
2 and 3 wide back there, but we go back up front. EJ O'Rourke and Jose Gonzalez. I tell you what, just 2 laps ago, we saw EJ make that strong pass on the high side and won. The next lap by, he went right to the bottom, but Gonzalez was able to really pick back up and close in on the bumper. Now those 2 running equal lap times, or nearly equal lap times. Last time by, 31:13 for O'Rourke. Gonzalez, a 31:10. And then back behind him there, Eric Arnold, Kevin DeBrown, the Dalton England, your top 5.
Gonzalez was flat sideways going into the corner. He looked like he was doing the hacienda on the entry. The car absolutely stepped out. He's dropped back to 5th position. I was just going to say that he's a good long run car, and if he can get out front and this thing stays
turn out of 2.
I should bite my tongue.
I tell you what,
involved.
some fast drivers involved. Schildhaus involved. Bentley Glacier was in the top 10. He's involved. And a couple others, and that's going to bring out the caution once again. Kevin Stone, Glenn Campbell involved once again. I showed Justin Fuller's an off track. Let's take a quick look and see what happened here as they were coming out of turn 2. Kevin, I imagine this was that corner off speed we were just talking about.
We seem to have several real estate battles as we get cars fighting for position off the corner, and some pretty big hits here. And that might have been the 44 getting into trouble first. He was sideways, maybe he had the air taken off of his spoiler from the 20. That's a big hit for the 44, the 20, and the 17. All 3 of them making significant contact with the brand labels over there on the backstretch safer barrier.
Under caution here, lap number 40. We did see a bunch of those drivers come down pit road, and Kevin DeBrown is now going to come down this time. He's going to give up that track position that I think he sacrificed for there for a while. Kevin, this move doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, but, I mean, we got to trust the driver instinct. But if you're going to stay out for one, you probably wanted that to pay off in the long run, no?
You have to wonder if he didn't take tires in that first shot, and now he's getting his first set of tires. One of the things that I think a lot of these drivers probably have in mind is if we get a late race caution, they're going to want a set of tires. It's not obviously going to help them that much, as bad as the conditions have been for the car not in the racetrack, but it does help you turn just a little bit with that extra grip. And if I'm going to go into a green-white checkered situation, I want to have a set of 4 fresh Goodyears to bolt on the car.
Yeah, absolutely. Under caution here for the 6th time tonight, lap number 41. You're watching Turn 1 Broadcasting. EJ O'Rourke, Eric Arnold, Patrick Colby, Tyler Dalton, Wesley Donaldson, your top 5. I tell you what, that blend line of new tires and old, it's starting to creep through the top 10. Mark Jorgensen Jr., the first driver to come down pit road, lap number 32. He's sitting 7th. And then everybody else has either not been down pit road or came around lap 16. That'll be a story we pay close attention to here. And Kevin, EJ O'Rourke, Eric Arnold up front. I tell you what, this may pay off for some of these, but EJ O'Rourke has not been down pit road just yet. How much do you think he's waiting for those right sides or begging for those right sides for 4 tires?
Yeah, I think the biggest benefactor has been O'Rourke in the fact that he hasn't had fresh tires, but he's had clean air with that restart, and he's going to jump to it and go through. He started on the outside. It is your option to pick. He got a good start. He's got the 31 covered here. Let's see if he can keep the momentum up through turns 1 and 2 and lead them down the back straightaway.
O'Rourke made that pass for the lead right here, coming out of 2, running that high line, and he's going to secure that lead again after the restart, getting out front of Eric Arnold. Tyler Dalton has moved up to 3rd. He is hunting for a little bit of speed. You see him right there in the middle of the track. And then it gets a little cattywampus back there. That's Wesley Donaldson, Patrick Colby side by side. We also see Mark Jorgensen Jr. and Joey Jatina also battling it out as everybody works to try to figure this out 1 lap post restart.
Outstanding run for Patrick Colby here, running in the 4th position. The number 28 solidly all night long running that high side right now, just keeping the car smooth. I don't want to give him the broadcaster's curse, but just putting together good quiet laps like a veteran, so to speak. And he's now tucked in 4th, chasing down Tyler Dalton. I like the fact that wherever the car is in front of him, he's choosing a different lane. We talked about it earlier, that unfortunately there was a caution where these drivers are doing a little aero blocking. O'Rourke was running the high side, but as soon as he had a challenge, he moved down to cover the air so there would be no air on the car in front of him. And these drivers are driving out of the rear view mirror, although I think they've got their hands full so much tonight that they probably got both hands on the wheel and just trying to keep things heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Kevin. We take a look close here at the 19. That's Tyler Dalton. He's up 10 spots on the night. Just try. Oh, as I say that, that was Eric Arnold going for a spin down the backstretch. I think he was the only car involved there. For a moment, I thought that in a glimpse of an eye as I looked over, I thought that was Tyler Dalton going for a ride, but that was Eric Arnold sideways coming down the backstretch off of 2.
Yeah, I mean, if we could draw a note as to where all these loose conditions are going, it's almost universally the drivers coming off the bottom where there is no banking. And unfortunately for Eric Arnold, the car stepped out and I thought he was going to save it, but when it changed direction and went down onto the flat of the apron, it made the car go back out onto the racetrack sideways. And as we said, when they're sideways and have the opportunity to go back into traffic, the caution's going to come out. Arnold able to grab a gear, drive through it after being down in the grass, but I think he's none the worse for wear other than his track position.
Under caution here for the 7th time tonight, lap number 47. These drivers haven't got their hands full. That is for certain here tonight on turn 1. As we take a look here at the schedule. And Kevin, I'm kind of digging through the schedule just a little bit. Obviously, next week we go to Pocono. Turn 1 has seen a couple races at Pocono. I think that's going to be a really interesting, different track, a very flat, long racetrack and a lot of speed. What do you expect to see there out of this group of drivers?
I expect to see caution-free racing, quite a bit of it at Pocono. That is a characteristic of that racetrack, is really you just have to get down into turn 1 clean and then make it through the tricky tunnel turn. We get a 2-week break after that. I know a lot of these drivers would love to be the winner into that 2-week break as we get that summer little respite. But I don't know. Pocono is one of those weird racetracks where certain drivers know how to do it and other drivers absolutely would love to fill the thing with water. I don't know which part they sit on, but given that's home ground for me, we'll be racing, unfortunately, Saturday night. We're running New Egypt Speedway with the local race team, so we won't go to Pocono this weekend. But I always love going to Pocono. I enjoy the infield experience, and the racing there is second to none as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. It is one of those tracks that it's a driver's track. You've got to love it. Otherwise, I think you're right. I personally would prefer fill it all up from that long pod straightaway forward here in Pocono. Under caution here once again, EJ O'Rourke out front. And, you know, we talked about this just a few moments ago, has not been down pit road whatsoever, while some of these drivers have been down pit road twice for different services or more. EJ O'Rourke taking advantage of that clean air. Tyler Dalton, though, is going to be up there. And as we see the, again, going off into turn 1, Shade overtaking the track. It's interesting here, Kevin. O'Rourke looks to be taking the inside lane on this restart.
Yeah. Interesting. I think it also is interesting what you said. The weather is changing here. As shade over the racetrack will cool the racetrack a little bit. That should actually help the grip some. When they started this racetrack, the temperature was 82 degrees with winds northwest at 4 miles an hour. And right now, the track temperature partly cloudy, 77 degrees. So there should be additional grip as we go through here in what is sim racing time, 7:30 p.m. And I would hope that these drivers could find a little more traction as the clouds cover the racetrack.
Yeah, they will definitely take advantage of every bit of grip, especially our leader, as well as the 28 of Patrick Colby right behind him as the pace car is going to duck down pit road. They've not been on pit road just yet for any service. And we'll see how that's going to shake out around the rest of this field, who has green flag back out. O'Rourke gets rolling here. Dalton struggling on that outside line like we've seen a couple different times tonight.
I think O'Rourke realized that the jet from the bottom would get him more track position heading into turn number 1, and he did an outstanding job getting back to the throttle as they roll down the back straightaway here. He's got a large lead, and one of his team cars, the 91 of Wesley Donaldson, making an appearance here in the top 3 as he's battling with Patrick Colby on that high side, trying to clear it. Is Comstock down there on the apron. I think he's going to keep it going. Put Donaldson to 3rd.
Donaldson sitting 3rd, and we see the 51 of Justin Fuller. Another driver trying to work his way forward here tonight, up 2 spots. Fell through the field just a little bit. We saw him take a ride through the backstretch grass. It's some incident avoidance a little while ago. Has recovered now and is running that very running that very low line still as they roll out of 4.
Fuller's one of those people that benefits from a racetrack where you could stand on the gas, stomp on the gas. That's his race style. Is he's just on for kill, and here you really have to have a little bit of finesse, and he's showing he can figure this out too. Is running in 5th right now, chasing down Patrick Colby at his windshield for the lead. He saw Tyler Dalton look low on the back straightaway. I know Tyler loves to lead laps. That's one of his check marks in every race he participates in. He wants to make sure he leads a lap. Right now, I think he's better part of valor following O'Rourke, just looking for the right opportunity before he tries to make his move.
Last time by, Dalton was the fastest car of the race, a 30.68. He's looking to the inside once again. It's a drag race down the backstretch. O'Rourke taking that high line and trying to keep a hold of that position, but here comes the 19 underneath.
Dalton side drafting down the back straightaway, the two of them weaving back and forth. Dalton has a nose ahead. He's going to go down to the apron, see if he can beat him back to the line, lead the lap. I believe he did it. Here he comes back up the racetrack. We have not heard the last of EJ O'Rourke. He is let off the gas and then stood on it through the middle of the corner trying to get that drive off. He's going to slide up against the wall. Dalton, good run from the bottom. The question is whether he can clear him heading into turn 3. No. Look at the charge O'Rourke put in from that high side.
Just back behind him, we see Wesley Donaldson as well, side by side with Justin Fuller, the Patrick Colby and Mark Jorgensen Jr. just now getting it sorted out as our leaders. This is a drag race for the last 2 laps. We went from having folks spinning all over the racetrack at different opportunities, knock on wood, to now Tyler Dalton getting clear of EJ O'Rourke here on lap number 55.
He cleared by a whisper as he rolled down the 41 of EJ O'Rourke, got to the back bumper of Dalton Chevrolet. Now Dalton cleared him, and he's out by a car length. He is clearly in charge and can pick and choose his lane in fresh air. O'Rourke still hounding him there from second, but I believe Dalton has cemented himself as our leader here. P1 for Tyler Dalton on lap 54.
Wesley Donaldson, Justin Fuller still side by side back here. These two have been going back and forth for a couple laps now. Donaldson running that high line. Fuller tried to squeak by on the bottom, very similar to the fight we saw for the lead. Fuller not able to unwind the wheel there. Donaldson's going to keep him pinched down, and that's going to hold Fuller up. Now, Kevin, back to Dalton here up front. Let's talk about this. Now that he's up front, do you go into conservation mode? Do you start to slow up a little bit and maybe try to hang on to those tires a little while, or do you think the 19, as you said, is set on go?
I think what the 19 is doing is smooth as fast. Don't slide the car, pick the groove, wait till it picks up the grip, and then slowly get on the throttle. He's got his clean air, he's got his track position, he's got decent tires compared to his competitors. If I'm him, smooth as fast, that's what I have in the back of my mind.
Going off into turn number 1, Donaldson was able to make the pass on O'Rourke. O'Rourke's going to fall back now. Justin Fuller's going to squeeze by. Those older tires on the 41 Toyota of EJ O'Rourke starting to be a factor. Oh, Fuller having a little bit of problem there. Looks like he got really tight with the 88 of Jorgensen on the backstretch. Those two get it sorted out. But EJ O'Rourke, that's going to give him just a little bit of chaos to deal with again on those older Goodyear tires. Not been down pit road yet as the 41 of EJ O'Rourke.
Yeah, I think his car stepped out just a little bit. He saw the 88, got the charge down on the bottom, went down for the block, and was able to cover that position and maintain the space as we had cars bouncing off the backstretch over there. And don't look now, but here comes Josh Parker, last week's winner. He is running in the 6th position and coming in the Irish Spring Ford.
That 81 car up 31 spots on the night. Josh Parker breaking into the top 7 here for the first time this evening around lap number 60. Nearing the halfway point of tonight's Cook Landscape Group Cup Series action. Brought to you by Sim 500 in turn 1. We're glad you're with us here. Tyler Dalton leads. Wesley Donaldson running P2 right now. Fuller and Jorgensen now side by side as they roll out of 4, and Fuller is going to take that 3rd spot away. This is going to be a story with that 51 down pit road last time on lap 32. Some of the freshest tires on the track.
14 in the 81, sharing close quarters on entry. They were leaning against each other going into the corner. Gigina was able to ease out of the throttle, pull the car away. and Josh Parker gets to live another day, as that was a tense moment. What I saw from Mark Jorgensen Jr. was he was underneath the 51. The 51 kept stepping out, Mark showing a little bit of patience, and unfortunately, his conservative nature, just to make sure he's not using up his equipment, will pay off in the long run. It cost him the position. The 41 of EJ O'Rourke went around to the high side.
EJ O'Rourke up to the high line as they roll in 3, 3, and 4. Here comes Jorgensen again down the backstretch, side by side. Here on lap number 62. And it looks like Jorgensen, again, finding his P's and Q's. He does have those fresher tires. Again, one of the drivers that came down on lap number 32. He's going to try to get clear, and he's going to, but here comes, who is that? That is Josh Parker. Dominant pass on the bottom.
Yeah, when two cars are side by side, it creates that hole, punches a hole in the air, and you can take advantage of the draft. Josh Parker shot through like a linebacker. He's going to take over 2 positions, a twofer as he went past both of them. I got to call out the Mission 22 Ford for Jeff Hollingsworth running in 10th. Another outstanding run for the number 97 driver, as I like what he's doing right now. If you look out his front windshield, he's got about 6 or 7 car lengths. That means every time he goes in the corner, there's a lot of fresh air on the nose of the car. He's not sliding it through the corner. And in the long run, I think that's going to pay off as he climbs through the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Riding on board here with the 97 car is again rolling through the corner as we take a lap here. Listen to the off throttle time. They go into 3 and a ton of out of throttle, out of throttle, out of throttle, and then slowly start to pick up, off again, on again, off again. And that's the drivers really tiptoeing through the corner. And speaking of tiptoeing, Wesley Donaldson tiptoed around Tyler Dalton for a lead change here on lap number 65.
To the car shot, you could see that Hollingsworth didn't grab full throttle until he got up on the straightaway, and then a little bit more. I mean, that's really what it takes, because if you did it a little bit earlier, the car would step out, and these drivers are really going to have to wait to get up on the throttle before they get to the straightaway in order to keep the car from going sideways, which we've seen several times tonight.
Lap by lap we go here, crossing the halfway point of tonight's Sim 500 Cup Series group right here at Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz alongside Kevin England in the booth tonight. Kevin, so far, a little bit of a mixed bag of exciting racing, but here comes that long green flag run, I think, that knock on every piece of wood you've got, but that's we expected to see out of this group. They finally got the handling under control, a mixed bag of pit strategies. We're going to have to start seeing some of those early pitters start thinking about pitting again here. What do you expect to see here over the next the next 45 laps or so?
We talked about the possibility of a long green flag run. Some of these drivers ducked in for tires not too long ago, and if this continues to leg out, we expect that might pay dividends for it. And I have to say, looking at Wesley Donaldson up front, he's just, there's certain seasons where he runs spectacular, and there's other seasons where he just can't get out of everybody else's mess. And from this season, he's had a reasonable run, but not anything to show for it. So it's great to see him up front, and I'm sure this is a driver that would be so hungry for a win. We'll have to see if he can keep this WBD Diecast Chevrolet up front tonight. They would be very, very happy in the 91 camp to score a win here at Chicagoland.
Tyler Dalton, Justin Fuller, now Mark Jorgensen making it 3 wide for a moment as they roll out of 2. Back there to 2 wide. Jorgensen's going to bow back out. I think here seeing Justin Fuller start to come full push here is those tires coming into fruition. Dalton down pit road, lap 16. So certainly about 15 laps older tires than Fuller and Jorgensen. But we were talking earlier about the 6 of Thomas George, and look at that driver up to P4 here.
Yeah, and he got that from the 88 of Jorgensen Jr., who was the whoa moment there. He was absolutely sideways and heading for the apron in turn 2, able to gather it up, but holy cow, did he pay the price. Slipped from 4th to 10th, and he's lucky he's got a race car, as that car was flat sideways out of turn number 2. Now he has to gather his concentration. You could see the car stepping out because he heated the tires up. It'll take a lap or 2 for that thing to get back underneath him and for him to regain his confidence.
As he rolls off into 4 there, as he mentioned, going to be in some traffic. It's fallen all the way back to 11th. And still a strong run here. That's Patrick Colby, Jeff Hollingsworth side by side. Colby not down pit road either. He's one of those drivers that have not yet taken service. EJ O'Rourke is also one of those. He is running 6th after leading some laps here tonight. But up front, Wesley Donaldson out front, holding about a 0.2 of a second lead over Justin Fuller, and Tyler Dalton has managed to hang on to, well, I was just about to say, managed to hang on to 3rd, but here comes Thomas George on the outside as they roll through 4.
Last few races for Donaldson, a 38th and a 31st. Then it was a 7th, a 9th, and a 22nd. So it's been an up and down few weeks for him. But when he runs well, you see the results. He can be out front and challenge for wins. He's got to be a little disconcerted, though, looking out the back windshield at 2-time winner Justin Fuller, who's starting to apply a little pressure.
We see Fuller be really fast on the Sunday Night ARCA series almost every week. If he can stay out of trouble, he's going to be up front. And now, closing in, we're no longer talking about tents, we're talking about car links, and there's none. Fuller right to the bumper of Donaldson here. As they go rolling off into 2, Fuller's going to look to the inside and work to make that pass on the 91.
Yeah, we got a wounded number 14, Joey Jatina. Car stepped out coming out of turn number 4. He was in 7th. Slammed the outside barrier with the right side. The car is completely pancaked. I think he may have broken a toe link on that right side. He's limping around the apron down there in turns 3 and 4, heading to the attention of his crew. What was an outstanding night for the Sim 500 Ford of Joey Jatina is going to end up with misery down there on pit road, as the car is going to need quite a bit of attention.
Back up front here, Wesley Donaldson rolls out of 2. Back in the lead here, able to get that back away from Fuller. I imagine we probably missed Fuller stepping out just a little bit. Looking at the lap times, have kind of flipped a little bit on the scoring side of things. Last time by, Donaldson ran out of 63 to Fuller's 76. But Thomas George in that 6 car, he's the fastest driver again in the top 5 there, and that's a big story considering he's not been down pit. He's been off of pit road here. He was one of those that took tires on lap 32. So he's got about 40 laps or so on those Goodyears and marching his way forward up 10 spots tonight.
Yeah, you look at this leader come out of turn number 4. He's got a couple slower cars in front of him. One of them is the 20 of David Schildhouse, who's currently running 1 lap down. That car not up to speed. It's been that kind of season. He's got 9 wins, but the ones where he hasn't won, it's been nights like tonight where he's had quite a bit of damage and just had to kind of muster whatever kind of finish he could. This disrupts the air in front of Wesley Donaldson. He would love nothing better to clear these 2 cars, get back to clean air, and be in command of this race.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that, Kevin. These drivers here are going to have to find a way to navigate around these lap cars. I think we have somebody spun on the front stretch there, right in the middle of the track. Not sure who that was.
Wertman? Brian Wertman, perhaps.
It looks like it was
against the outside wall.
Wertman spun and notoriously kind of right there in the middle of the front stretch. That indicates to me he probably got loose off of turn number 4. Let's take a quick look at the replay as we're under caution after that long green flag run.
Yep, spot on. The car just stepped out, went down. It de-wedged itself on the apron. Unfortunately, slid up and had to come to a stop before catching the barrier. No harm, no foul. I don't believe anybody hit him while he was sitting there.
No, it even rolled forward, cleared up the bottom there for the field to roll by. That could have been bad, but Brian Wertman able to, for the most part, mitigate trouble here under caution once again at Chicagoland. As now we see everybody coming down pit road. I am not surprised by this move whatsoever. Everybody looking for those tires. I tell you what, this is going to be a story for EJ O'Rourke, Patrick Colby, those guys that had not come down at all. Does this put them into the good in terms of tires? And what would you do had you not taken tires before, Kevin, and knowing you've got 2 additional sets in the pits?
Yeah, pass me a cold Coke through the window, put on 4 tires, fill this thing full of fuel, and I'll show you what I can do. It's going to be Justin Fuller tried to beat Wesley Donaldson, but nope, Donaldson, first one off of pit road. Outstanding pit work for the 91 crew.
Yeah, Donaldson in the box for a total of 15 seconds, but that Justin Fuller a little bit longer down pit road, about 3/10, and that's going to make up that spot there. and able to get Donaldson out front. Jose Gonzalez stayed out. I cannot imagine this is for any good reason other than maybe just failing to come down pit road. I don't know. What do you think is going to happen here with the 26? Kevin, do you think he comes down?
Well, you know what? You have to take a note from the 41. Look what he did with no
That's a good
tires
point.
through that
Yeah.
entire stint. I mean, maybe track position is the answer. If Jose knows how fast the car is out front, and maybe he's got a little Mets magic in that number 26 tonight, as he's going to choose, it looks like, the high side here for the restart. And he's got a couple cars buffering him to the back. But, man, I would not want to stare out the windshield at Wesley Donaldson and Justin Fuller with, 58 lap old tires? No. He was in on lap 47, actually.
He was, yep. So about 30 laps there of 30 laps of age on those tires. But as you mentioned, he's maybe that track position is really critical. He's been up front, has had a couple issues, especially on restarts. He's going to go back to that high line there. And let's see if the driver of that 26 can hang on and get clear of some of these drivers with these fast tires right behind him.
DeAndre Caden, the Extreme Motorsports number 90, is 5 laps down. He had a little trouble earlier in one of those incidents, so he's going to drop back and pick up the end of the field. Longest line is, well, this changes everything. Now a lot of drivers on fresh tires. They could reset any of the criminal activity they did to their car earlier in the race. Probably got a lot of repairs, and I see some fast cars deep in the field. This should be fun to watch.
Yeah, as long as the grip comes to fruition for him, we're going to see it all really play out. But hopefully Jose Gonzalez can hang on to that car. The pace car is going to duck down pit road. We're going to head right off into the restart zone. Keep a close eye on Gonzalez. He is the control car. Free and clear, he gets rolling. The green flag back out.
Should be a boxing match as they head down to turn 1. Everybody knows what the track position is worth. Now is the opportunity to make a little hay, see if you can get positions on the restart. And as we say that, it's 3 wide going down the backstretch for the lead. Who's going to come out with it? That's $1 million question. Didn't work out very well for Jose Gonzalez, as several cars able to squirt down underneath him, and he's not able to hold the car down.
Josh Parker way out front now, 3/10 as they come off of turn 4. He's your new leader here, lap 81. Wesley Donaldson, Justin Fuller, Jose Gonzalez, Thomas George, your top 5. And then we see that chaos back behind him. That's Tyler Dalton. O'Rourke's back there. Eric Arnold. Kevin DeBrown is still taking advantage of some of that track position. Bobby Wetzel, our pole sitter, sitting back there in 10th.
It continues to be bad news for Jose Gonzalez up on that high side. The car just steps out on him. He's not able to find the traction he needs. And, well, I got a circle on my program here for the 93 of Kevin DeBrown. He's been kind of out of the story all night long. Now inside the top 10, 3 wide, out of turn number 2 to the inside. Tyler Dalton, he's going to scrape the right side off the fence, but keep it hammered down, as now he's got the 26 in front of him, and he's looking for a top 5 here.
Talking about still 3 wide back behind Dalton. That's Woods, Ryan, and Arnold all battling it out right there. Again, that's all battling to get into the top 10. A lot of jostling back and forth as they fan out, going off into 1 and 2. Oh, who is that up against the wall there? That is Eric Arnold. Went a little too high and stepped up for those dirt racing fans off the cushion into the wall. But we go back up front. Josh Parker still maintaining that 3/10 of a second lead over Wesley Donaldson. And I'll tell you what, he last time by ran a 30.66, the fastest lap of the night here in the field.
Yeah, weather continues to cool, as right now track temperature is at 105 degrees Fahrenheit, partly cloudy. It is 77 degrees, so I think these drivers are finding a little grip. What we do see is they go into the corner and the car either, 1, sticks in the racetrack or makes her turn, or 2, it just continues to plow and plow and plow. We got the 31 sideways, the 9 making contact.
Oh, some of them are going to be able to hang on to it. I don't think we're going to see a caution.
Went to the holy cow.
You
can't call them fast enough. They're banging and clanging off each other. It looks like a pool table over there in turn number 4. Somehow Bobby Wetzel kept it straight, though.
That was impressive to see a lot of those drivers hang on to it. And that probably is a sign of some of that grip coming in as the track temperature continues to cool here in Chicagoland on lap number 85. Our top three single filed out. This is the battle to watch here. That's Thomas George, Tyler Dalton. They're battling for that top 5 spot. Everybody kind of reset it or re-rack it on tires. And after this restart, it's been a little chaotic back here, 4th, 5th on back. I don't know, Kevin, if anybody can really save a tire right now without really falling off the pace. What would again? It's got to be difficult to be able to just get in that conservation mode mindset when you got 4 cars, 5 cars all around you.
Yeah, I think there's something in that brain chemistry of drivers that they get to 50 to go and they just can't seem to constrain themselves. We're at 44 to go after 8 cautions. And they're ready to be done with this race. When you get in 50 to go, it's time to go. You're going to give everything you can. And we see a great press. Can it be 2 in a row? Potential wins for Josh Parker. He got one stolen away from him last week. He would love nothing better to come here at this racetrack and put his name back on the leaderboard and the win board. Past champion of this series, knows how to get the job done. Loves to start from the rear and drive through the field. No surprise to see him up 37 positions, as he does that quite frequently, Sean, every week. But he's getting the job done here tonight. And again, he's got the thing that every one of these drivers would love to have right now, clean air, and he is set sail in the wind.
One of the things that I see right now, Kevin, out of the 81 is running very consistent lap times. He's not always the fastest in the top 5, but he's almost running right to the ragged edge, right to where he needs to as we see the caution come out. And that's going to re-rack everybody. It looks like Jose Gonzalez in the grass. And looks like Nelson Rivera also involved here.
Saw the Ingersoll ran 17 of Kevin Stone down there in the grass too, and that was a completely unrelated incident. He did that whoop-de-doo over turn 4, got on the apron, struck the outside wall in the Geico restart zone, and then drove away through the grass. And I don't think that brought the caution. It must have been something else.
Yeah, taking a look here, I show Mark Jorgensen involved. Oh, he makes contact, I believe, with the 88. Oh, and that's just going to block the track as they come across the front stretch here. That is unfortunately going to probably be the end of the competitive night for Jorgensen. He's going to actually have to tow to the pits. I also believe Jose Gonzalez may have gotten a little bit of piece of that. We'll have to follow up. But Josh Parker right now in the lead here. Wesley Donaldson, Justin Fuller, Kevin DeBrown, Tyler Dalton, your top 5. We're going to step aside one more time on lap number 90. You're watching Turn 1. Getting ready to go back racing lap number 93 here for the Sim 500 Cooks Landscape Group Cup Series on turn 1. Kevin, it's been a wild one so far. Wesley Donaldson, Justin Fuller, and Kevin DeBrown up front as they get ready to go back green flag here.
Yeah, field rolls down the backstretch with 39 to go, and it's been a night full of twists and turns as to who's running in this top 10 and the calamity that's come to these drivers in the slippery, bumpy, treacherous surface that is Chicagoland Speedway. We got a new player up here in the top 10, somebody we haven't mentioned all night, and he's got a sponsor on the car. It is the Lung Force Toyota, sponsored by the American Lung Association. Brian Macklin, currently running in 10th in the 30. Let's see what that parlays to is. He's probably been just kind of minding his P's and Q's back there. He's got a hard charger in Doy Woods that he can follow to the front.
Speaking of the front, Donaldson and Fuller get rolling here. Green flag back out. Lap 93. Not as big of a jump as we've seen on that restart, but Kevin DeBrown's going to take advantage of Fuller being the control car. He's going to roll up to P2 and look underneath of Wesley Donaldson outside of turn 2.
Yeah, and for Josh Parker fans, he restarted in 21st with 4 fresh Goodyears. He's going to have to make his charge through the field. He just went underneath the 49 of Joe Hudson, who's running back there in 18th, and that car looks like a rocket as he runs down along the edge of the grass trying to cut the racetrack and get as fast as he can up to the front.
We were talking about this over the break, Kevin, and Parker is going to have his work cut out for him, sitting back there 16th. These fresh tires would obviously pay dividends if this was any normal track, but tonight we've seen the handling conditions be what they have been, and now he's got to try to not only race his way forward, but stay out of trouble. Does he need a long green flag, or is he looking for a couple quick cautions here?
I think he's looking for a couple quick cautions. If he could cycle those through, he can make a couple quick hits on these restarts, getting past everybody else by holding that low line on the restart. If he finds himself in the top 5 with 10-5 to go, he might be a player in this, but right now, Clean Air is king, and out front, Wesley Donaldson's in command of the race. He's got Justin Fuller, who's been following him, and I know Fuller wants to front, but he's not been able to do anything with that number 91.
Yeah, Fuller is obviously, again, one of those fast drivers you can bet on being up front most nights on Sunday nights right here on turn 1 for the ARCA series on Sunday Night Thunder. But right now, currently riding in the tire tracks of the 91. Also, another driver worth mentioning is Tommy Rahn. Well, Tommy Rahn sitting at 4th, up 33 spots and kind of playing this strategy to his benefit. He was last out pit road with everybody else on 77. I believe he's going to have another set of tires in the pits. But he's got EJ O'Rourke right there on the bumper as they come across the stripe here to complete 97. Or to complete 96, rather.
What I noticed from Tommy is he is emulating his sponsor, although as soon as I say it, he goes to the high side. He's been down on the bottom digging as he has the 811 call before you dig. Virginia811.com on the side of the Camaro. That time he used the high side to his advantage as he strolls around the 93 of Kevin DeBrown, put Tommy Ryan to 3rd. We don't see Tommy come out here. He knows how to get the job, this wily veteran, done, and I bet that he has win on the mind. He's going to come out here and be a spoiler in his rare appearance.
Unfortunately, Tyler Dalton looking like he had a lot of trouble navigating turn 3, turn 4 there. He gave up a pretty high spot there. He's fallen all the way back to 25th. Tyler Dalton, I think, getting loose off a 4 last time by. Back up front, Donaldson, about a 10th of a second over Fuller, but Fuller last time by was just right there with him. Now side by side as they roll across the stripe. Looking at lap times, Fuller was 4/10 faster, and that's going to pay off in dividends. He's going to take the lead here on lap 99. So we've rolled down the backstretch here into 3. Fuller settling into that, Donaldson settling into that 2nd spot. Tommy Ryan, Kevin DeBrown, EJ O'Rourke, your top 5. Brian Macklin in that 30 car. Kevin, you talked about it just a little while ago. He's up front here and making it happen, currently running 6th. It's interesting to see that driver able to recover and pick up 5 spots on the night so far.
Yeah, Fuller is he just turned up the wick. I'm not sure if there was a problem there with Donaldson slipping, but when it comes to running the high side, not many are better at it than Ryan Macklin, and he's putting it to his advantage as you see him going through. And I have to wonder, we saw EJ O'Rourke earlier on the high side, and he's up there again. It looks like the high side starting to gain a little grip here, Sean, as number of drivers making a lot of time up there.
With that temperature, or that track temperature coming down, it also looks like the track's starting to rubber in a little bit. O'Rourke, exactly where he started, running 5th right now. He's got Brian Macklin right there up the wall with him. You were talking about Wesley Donaldson having an issue. I think he had an issue for 2 corners. He's fallen all the way back to 4th now and off the pace a bit. Justin Fuller up front, and Tommy Ryan's going to benefit from Donaldson taking a step back as Ryan moves to 2nd. Kevin DeBrown back to 3rd, or up to 3rd rather. And Kevin, I hate to spoil it now, but the 81's on the move.
Yeah, the 81 is going to come for sure. We know he was working on fresh tires, and we wondered how long it would take him. We said if he could get up to the top 5 with 5 to go. Well, with 34 to go, guess what? He's knocking on the door. He has climbed through this field quite nicely and running in the top 5 right now.
Yeah, Josh Parker, we're going to complete the pass here, or try to complete the pass on EJ O'Rourke, and he's going to close the door there. That driver on a tear. Back was running 16th, I believe, on the restart. Now back into the top 5. And looking ahead here, he's going to run up high on the track while DeBrown and Donaldson side by side as they roll out of 4. That's going to open the door for Parker. We've seen him run right down to the grass a couple times, but this time electing to run right behind those two and taking advantage of what little bit of draft may be available here at Chicago.
Yeah, the old adage, as you come forward, it gets a little bit harder to pass as the competition is more difficult to get by. And unfortunately, we have a spin with Calantoni going through the grass. Hollingsworth is there. And we're going to go back to caution here on the speedway. And this is going to create a sprint run to the finish. Sean, boy, what a mess. It's a parking lot over on the back straightaway.
Yeah, a lot of drivers elected to come to a stop there. That's also going to affect Brian Macklin. We've talked about him a couple times. The 30 car involved, and that's going to bring the caution flag out here on lap 105 for the 10th time tonight at Chicago. And this is going to mix up a lot of strategies, Kevin. Justin Fuller, Tommy Ryan, Kevin DeBrown, your top 3. You know, I know some of these drivers may have some tires left, but I think there's some that already may be out and be kind of stuck on the strategy. What do you expect to see here from a pit road standpoint?
If you got tires, you ought to bolt them on. This would be a great time to take advantage of it. We see how it's paid off with Josh Parker. He got the caution that he wants, and he's got fresh tires, and everybody else is going to have to give up track position and go to pit road. We saw how long the 41 was able to hold on, and well, you see the tail of the tape. Top cars peel off, but Josh Parker stays out.
Yeah, Josh Parker is going to stay out. It also looks like Nelson Rivera will as well. Last down, lap number 77. I'm not sure that car is full health, though, so that may be a factor we'll have to pay close attention to. Everybody else down pit road. Surprised to see some tires left for some of these guys as they wrap up those pit stops. Justin Fuller on the jacks. EJ O'Rourke also on those right sides. Everybody taking advantage here. Bobby Wetzel down pit road. Couple others, but it looks like Joe Hudson. No, he's not going to be out there, but Justin Fuller's going to be a drag race for Tommy Ryan off of pit road.
Yeah, and if I'm Josh Parker, I'm not very happy because there's not going to be that buffer of cars in between. A lot of these cars are going to be a lap down car and go back behind the lead lap cars, and he's going to have all these drivers with fresh tires at only 25 to go right on his back bumper. Although, if I'm Josh Parker, I'm game. I've got the one thing that they don't have, which is a good restart at clear track position heading off to turn 1.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's going to have control of this here. It's all going to be down to what has he got left on those Goodyears. He's been down pit road about 15 laps ago to take tires. And I do believe, I'd have to double check, but he may have a set left in the pits if all this shakes out just right. So that may play a factor as well. Does he elect to bolt those on maybe with 10 to go? But ultimately, I don't know if you could get through the field with 10 laps remaining, but we'll have to check on that. Pace car lights are off as a couple cars come flooding off pit road as trying to repair some of those damages. Kevin, This is going to be pretty sporty. We've got some new names up front. Obviously Parker, but Nelson Rivera, Gerald Livingston, Joe Hudson is up there as well. And then Justin Fuller, Jose Gonzalez has ground his way back up to the top 10. Tommy Ryan, Wesley Donaldson, EJ O'Rourke, and Kevin DeBrown.
Yeah, I think Barty better grab that yellow flag because I have a feeling it's going to be a right arm tire. You got Nelson Rivera, Gerald Livingston, Joe Hudson pitted last on lap 77. Josh Parker pitted on lap 90. Everybody else just pitted here on lap 105. It is Jose Gonzalez. Is that right? Leading the charge off of pit road. I have to wonder if he took 2 tires and got that track position. But buckle up, everybody. With 25 to go, 24 to go. This is going to get fun.
It is. Yeah, it does look like Jose Gonzalez so was just in the box about 8 seconds. Probably just enough for a splash of gas to get the car tightened up a little bit and ultimately get those right sides on. As the pace car is going to duck down pit road. Josh Parker, Nelson Rivera up front. In the Geico restart zone. The green flag back out. That outside line doesn't get rolling. They have to scat around as they come across the stripe.
Gerald Livingston drops down the surface. He knows that his car is slip sliding away, as is the KY mount for Joe Hudson. He's running third, but he got a good run out of turn 3. He's got Justin Fuller to the side. And as soon as I say that, the car yaws out and goes sideways. He catches it before he gets down the apron. He continues on as we got cloud cover over the racetrack.
I was just about to mention that as well, Kevin. It looks like those maybe that the tire temperature, I'm sorry, the track temperature is going to come to some of these drivers with Justin Fuller, Nelson Rivera side by side. Fuller came down pit road right there under that caution, and those new tires look like they are showing strength as he was able to break away and take that second spot away. Now in the hunt for the 81 as they come down the backstretch.
We wondered how the 81 of Josh Parker would fare. Well, look, very good. Not too bad. He's got a 10-car length lead over Justin Fuller, who's trying to chase him down with fresh tires, but that clean air paid dividends as he got an outstanding restart. Here comes Tommy Ryan. They're side by side for that third position. Ryan down on the bottom. He's going to hunt that white line. He's going to clear the 26 of Jose Gonzalez charge. He'll use all the racetrack out of turn number 2 to the backstretch, and he sets sail to see if he can track down that top 2.
Speaking of the top 2, not a lot of competition in lap times, and we're starting to see that. Last time by Fuller ran a 30:57, set a fast time of the race. And in the hunt, Parker's lead of 5/10 has now narrowed to 2/10 and closing Justin Fuller on the way up front to run down the 81. Speaking of Tommy Ryan, that driver also looking pretty impressive. Outside of Fuller's, we got cars sideways.
Yeah, Gonzalez got a little sideways out of turn 2, and unfortunately, when the car checked up, he got hit in the back bumper, and it turned him right into the outside wall. Fortunately, everybody goes left and misses the 26, but the Goya can is crumpled over there against the Brandt signs on the backstretches. That's just a moment there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Had a little bit of help. Do you think, Sean?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I tell you, Jose has not really caught a break here tonight. He started qualified outside of row 1 there, or close to, I'm sorry, not outside row 1, but qualified up front and had a pretty strong car, was able to get up close to the front in the early going, but just hadn't really been able to put a run together here. Jose Gonzalez going to spin and bring out the caution here once again with 19 laps remaining. We're going to step aside and catch our breath because guess what? The excitement's not over yet. We're going to have 17 laps remaining when we go back green flag racing. You're watching Turn 1. Back live here. Going to go back green flag racing with 16 to go. Josh Parker, Justin Fuller, Tommy Ride, Wesley Donaldson, and Kevin DeBrown, your top 5. It is going to be a sprint to the end here, Kevin. I suspect this is going to be a wild restart.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything, but we got a Jersey driver running in that top 10. I'm rooting for him because he needs a good finish, and I'd love to see the Talking Giants YouTube Chevrolet here on the podium to get to talk to us once again as we go back to green. Good restart for Josh Parker. He breaks away. They're 2 by 2 behind him, 2, and then 2, and then 2, and then 2, side by side out of turn number 2. They stack the field as Parker looks out his back mirror. He's got to love seeing cars running side by side out behind him.
He really wants to see Tommy Ryan catch up there on Justin Fuller's left rear and hold him up a little bit so he can break away and let Justin run him down a little bit. And you're starting to see that come to fruition as Ryan now right to the inside of Justin Fuller. They're battling for spot 2 here in turn 1.
This physically may be the first time his name's been mentioned on the broadcast as we go back to yellow, but Stephen Miles is running in the 8th. I forgot he was even in the race. He's been so quiet tonight.
Under
we got a
caution
huge
here.
stack up on the backstretch.
Big wreck down the backstretch.
Again.
And it looks
Holy
like that that may have involved DJ O'Rourke and a couple others. Not what O'Rourke wanted to see. He had been up front, led some laps early. Now under caution, it was a big jump coming out of 2 there, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for O'Rourke, I'm not sure what happened there. It almost feels like he checked up because they were 3 wide in front of him, and Karlovaj, no place to go. You know, it's difficult when you watch these drivers run into each other, but when you're on the hammer coming up out of the corner and somebody steps out in front of you, like we saw with Kevin DeBrown just a moment ago, you know, what are you going to do? You almost, when you get to the back bumper, have to stand in it and spin the car off of your front bumper in order to drive yourself through it. Otherwise, you get caught up in it. Karlovaj got into the 41, and unfortunately for him, Fryery the third tagged him, and then it was bumper cars again down the back straightaway as everybody slid back into the racetrack, and unfortunately it's difficult to navigate the pathways over there.
We see Kevin DeBrown coming down pit road, take care of some of those repairs. Josh Parker out front, Justin Fuller, Tommy Ryan, your top 3. I don't think this is the caution that Parker wanted to see. He really wanted to see Ryan hold up Fuller a little bit more. I really expect to see Parker try to make that happen again. He wants to get out to a really solid restart here as they go back green flag racing with 10 to go, Kevin.
It's far easier to lead when you're right behind the pace car. Nobody's allowed to drive around you. There's a milestone moment. David Schildhouse going around to get back to the lead lap here on lap 118. He's been behind the curve. The children trying to wonder what's going to happen for him. Maybe he can muster a decent finish with 13 to go. He's been in every time to pit the car, and here he goes again, trying to get that damage fixed to get a car that he can race with. And with 13 to go, he's going to come back to the lead lap. Let's see if he can salvage something out of the evening.
He's already gaining spots here as Schildhouse takes pit road once again up to P27. But there's obviously a lot of cars in front of him that he could get passes on. That's Kevin DeBrown, EJ O'Rourke, Brian Macklin. He'll also pass quickly. Brian Wortman's been pitting a lot. So is Charles Woods. So a lot of opportunity. That's why you don't give up, especially on these nights where it's really hard to handle. You hear me talk about it fairly often here on Turn 1. You do not want to give in, especially being involved in something early. You got plenty of laps to make up, and it's been a trend tonight to see cautions, and it looks like David Schildhouse is going to take firm advantage of that.
Yeah, he did a Tom Cruise moment there. Beat the pace car. This race is over for us. He just barely beat the pace car across the line, and he's going to join up in the back of the field here as he and several of his other compatriots getting service. The 53 of Jason Pick, the 97 of Hollingsworth, 30 of Macklin was down there, the 41 of O'Rourke, the 17 of Stone. It is wholesale pit changes. The 43 of Roth, the 75 of Stoney Benfield, all taking advantage of this caution with 12 to go. And that brings out an interesting point, Sean. Some of these drivers ducked in, and I have to wonder if they had a spare set of tires that came over the fence for the final restart for them.
I was just thinking that myself, Kevin. I really like to see what those are going to turn out to. They're going to have 11 laps racing left here. Whether those are green flag or not, we're about to find out as Josh Parker, Justin Fuller get ready to go into the restart zone. I want to say hello to everybody over on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube watching us live. We got a lot of likes and a lot of chats here tonight. We appreciate you being here. Down into the restart zone. Josh Parker, Justin Fuller get rolling. Green flag back out. 11 to go.
Parker again gets an outstanding restart. He's going to head into turn 1 with no challenge. He'll get off of turn 2. Looks like he'll be pretty clear as they run side by side behind him once again. They fan out of turn number 2, and unfortunately, they're not going to get that far. It is the 49 having an incident here over in turn number 1.
Bringing the caution out here once again. Parker not wanting to see that. It looked like Fuller had a hard time getting rolling. But it also looks like that Joe Hudson machine having a bit of a hard time. He may have had some help there getting spun around into one.
Yeah, he got punched in the left rear quarter panel and turned the car sideways and just locked it down to keep from doing anything further. And it says turn up the heat on the back of the car. Well, I bet the driver's a little hot under the helmet after that one, but he's going to grab a gear and come back and join back into the fray.
So Josh Parker, last down pit road, lap 90. Everybody else, with the exception of Nelson Rivera, came down on lap 105. But these cautions, Kevin, have got to be helping the 81 a little bit here. Obviously, those heat cycles are not ideal, but he's not going to have a long green flag run to think about. It's go time now. They're going to go back green flag racing. Oh, let's see here with 8 to go. Does Josh Parker got enough tire there left to get to the end in the lead here?
Yeah, I think when these tires cool down, it ups the grip for him. And again, he's not having to contest for the lead and put tire wear on the car while the cautions cycle around here. So I almost feel like this is playing to his advantage. He really just needs to get a good restart, try and cover him. It's almost like a heat race at this point with 9 to go. There's not much to defend. He just needs to look out the windshield, keep the foot mounted to the floor, and keep these guys behind him. I do think it would be to his advantage to watch out the rearview mirror and do a little aero blocking at this point. We've seen how good the car with worn tires can perform out front with E.J. O'Rourke earlier this evening. So if I'm Josh Parker, I'm going to try and be smooth. I'm going to try and carry that speed, and I'm going to aero block as much as I can and see if I can get myself a checkered flag.
Josh Parker out front, but back to, we're gonna hit that, ring that bell, that Jersey driver, the 84 of Anthony Calatoni. Always a great interview, and he's one spot away from that finishing order to get one tonight. Anthony Calatoni up 20 spots here. Not the biggest mover of the night, though. Tommy Ryan up 35 spots, but our leader up 37 spots right now. Here as they come across the stripe to get the 1 to go signal from the pace car. Those lights are going to turn off. That means they're going to have one more opportunity to get tighten those belts, make sure the helmet's on straight, get a sip, and get ready to go back green flag racing for Kevin. What you mentioned, that heat race that's about to come up here with 7 to go.
Yeah, and for Josh Parker, he's all too aware of the fact that he's got to get himself to the checkered flag in order to grab the win. He was so close last week coming out of turn number 4, got a bumper, lifted up the racetrack a little bit, and then it was a brawl, and he missed by a fender at the line. He would like to right that injustice this week and get the victory here, but he's got a lot of work to do. Is there some hungry drivers that, you know that Ryan wants to get a win. You know that Fuller wants to increase his win column, and, well, out behind him, how would Anthony Calatoni do to get himself a win? That would solve a lot of his difficult season. There's a lot of hungry drivers out behind the 81 in the pack.
Gonna pay real close attention to that. Stephen Miles up here flirting in the top 7. Thomas George, Jason Karlovash, and a couple others. Doy Woods currently sitting 6th. That's a nice recovery for Doy, just kind of hanging on there as we get ready to go back green flag racing. 7 laps remaining here. Josh Parker on the outside. As they creep down this front stretch into the restart zone, Parker gets rolling pretty clean. The green flag is back out with Tommy Ryan and Justin Fuller on that inside, backing it up a little bit.
They're going to make it almost 3 wide here as the Fuller car looks to the center. Calantoni has a great run to the outside. Can he parlay that into a second place? He brushes against the wall, and he's going to come to second in that 84 and wants more.
That's right, Calatoni there. Oh, and Fuller's going to make contact. Calatoni's going to get sideways. Hang on to it, 84.
Outstanding job, but I'm sure he's going to go poke Justin Fuller in the chest for that one as Fuller just flat out pancaked him going into that corner. You can't blame them. These guys are running full out here. They want to get the win, and unfortunately for Carantoni, he got drop kicked. Oh my gosh, the poor Giants driver has got to be frustrated.
Absolutely. Anthony Calatoni now settling way back in the running order, back there at around 26th or so. Meanwhile, we see Fuller now.
Fuller out. Yep.
That was Fuller sideways out of 4. Maybe those frustrations continuing to fester there with Fuller. We saw him make contact with Calatoni, but now he is way back, and he's going to run out of laps here to get up front. Speaking of, Josh Parker out free and clear right now, 4/10 over Tommy Ryan, but look out, Wesley Donaldson last time by a 30.52, the fastest lap of the race. Wesley Donaldson up to 3rd.
Nice quiet charge for Troy Haight. He's currently in the 8th position in hunting for more. He's right on the back bumper of Jason Karlovash, who's had an interesting night. They're going to go side by side into turn number 2. Is out in front of him, they're side by side. Doy Woods down on the bottom line trying to get to 24 of Stephen Miles. He's going to slide up in front of him. They'll do the crossover, and the two of them are going to tangle down the back straightaway. Miles down on the bottom this time, rolls reversed as they go into turn number 3. Miles hunting the bottom, trying to see if they can get through. They got Wesley Donaldson right in front of them. As out front, the 81 trying to break the draft drops down on the apron. He is trying to get the victory here as we got 3 to go here at Chicagoland Speedway.
Josh Parker out front right now, 2/10 slower than Tommy Ryan, but here comes Ryan on the inside down the backstretch as they roll into 3. Ryan going to dive deep in there. Parker's going to stay on the high side. He's going to have the momentum. Ryan's got to check up a little bit to make the bottom. It's going to be a drag race as they come down the front stretch. 2 laps to go here for the Sim 500 Cup Series.
Ryan leads at the line. Parker got a good run out of 4. Good recovery. He's driving it deep into turn number 1, trying to get that high side to work, but digging down on the bottom is Tommy Ryan. With those fresh tires, he got to drive off. He's going to clear him by a car length. It is 2 to go, and Tommy Ryan is now in P1.
Tommy Ryan up front. He's just got to hold off Josh Parker for 4 more corners. Parker, those old tires, I think, starting to be a problem. But it's not going to be a problem for long. The white flag is out one more time around here in Chicago. Tommy Ryan out front, 2/10 over Josh Parker.
Right up high, coming off of turn 2. He's going to run to the backstretch with a 2-car length lead. Parker's car steps out. That's going to increase momentum. He gets a tag from Wesley Donaldson. That shot is going to make it a contest for second. Ryan clear sailing out of turn 4. Here comes Donaldson to the bottom for second.
It's going to be a drag race, but up front, Tommy Ryan making the pass. 2 laps to go is going to bring home the checkered flag. Tommy Ryan out front, Wesley Donaldson, Josh Parker, Doy Woods, Stephen Miles, your top 5. Kevin, that was an incredible race as we got some post-race contact happening between Woods here and Stephen Miles.
Yeah, what a race to the finish. Outstanding job by Tommy Ryan. Not getting difficult from a patience standpoint. Just got himself into the right position. And how about that? It was, again, another brawl for the 81 down the stretch there, and he got beat again. Wesley Donaldson able to take that second position. What a race. What a finish. And congratulations. How about it? The rare timer of Tommy Ryan, who I don't think we've seen all season, sneaks in here tonight and steals a win at Chicagoland.
The 66 is going to burn it down right here on the start-finish line. We're going to quickly step aside and get some post-race coverage for you with our top 3. You're watching Turn 1. A strong run here tonight, and the 66 of Tommy Ryan's going to bring home the victory here tonight. Tommy, congratulations on that win. That was an incredible run there down the stretch. What was going through your mind there on that last restart, knowing you only had about 7 laps to make a move?
I just absolutely did not want to wreck the car, and haven't driven this car in really a very long time, and I decided to see if Joey would let me compete tonight, and I just felt this thing out for the entire first part of the race, and then I kind of understood what the thing would tolerate and what it wouldn't, and then I just let it eat at the end. I was like, well, hopefully I don't kill anybody or kill the car, and I'm just going to go for it. So hey, hell of a race. That was a lot of fun.
Tommy, we saw you obviously make that move there with 2 to go. If that would have been a longer green flag run, did you have the car to stay up front for a while there, or was that really kind of a one-and-done type opportunity? What was left in the tires?
Well, I took care of the tires for the most part, but everybody was running like hell at the end of it. So, I mean, I was at least equal to everybody else that was around me. And then as long as you didn't slip, it seemed, if you slipped the tire, man, you were trash for a few laps anyway. And I just tried to really not do that and kind of keep the wheel open where not have a lot of wheel in it to give it the choice. But every once in a while you would slide the nose across the track depending on how deep you ran into the corner. But I still have a ton to learn in this car if I'm going to keep doing it, because I still don't have, I just took a major chance there at the end, and it kind of worked out. But I feel like if I ran 5 more laps like that, the thing would have jumped out from under me and would have killed somebody.
Well, 1 chance, 1 start, and a checkered flag. I think it's a pretty good record. Tommy Ryan, your winner here tonight at Chicago. Tommy, thanks for the time.
All right, bud. Thanks.
And Kevin, I tell you what, Tommy really nailed it right there. What an incredible run. But these cars were really difficult to handle here tonight. We saw that all over the racetrack.
Yeah, I don't think I recall a night where these drivers had such lack of grip throughout the entire race. It really looked like they had their hands full coming up off of the corner especially, and we saw some of the best in the business trying to hustle the car, step out. I thought it was interesting, Tommy's observation, that if you slid the car, it took a couple laps to come to. And we've seen that throughout the race, and they said in the beginning the car was going to be loose. It was going to be difficult through the bumps. There was struggle with lack of grip all the way through. And, well, we had a good number of cautions, but we also saw some outstanding racing. 2 wide, 3 wide, outstanding passes. And how about that? Tommy Ryan, I don't know that, he's been here a lot and won a lot of races, but to step in the middle of the season on a one-off shot and win a race with the stout competition we have here at Sim 500, that's quite an accomplishment. This is one that they're going to remember for a long time on that team.
It definitely will. And speaking of Sim 500, I tell you what, if you liked what you've seen tonight and you're interested to join up with this group and take on some of the best drivers on the league side of things, head on over to sim500.com. They race, goodness, it feels like every night of the week, but at least 4 times a week, and you can find a lot of that great racing either in the ARCA car, the Cup car, and a couple others. And Kevin, I tell you what, you'd be if you're looking for a little bit of excitement on the non-official side, looking for a little bit of competition, this seems to be the place to be.
Yeah, no doubt. Sim 500, some of the greatest drivers in sim racing have run through this organization and are still here. Just a great community of racers and great sponsorship, great broadcasts, and a fun place to race. And most of all, it's a community. These drivers have known each other for a long time, and they come back every week to race with the best in sim racing. I have to say that. I ran last night and had a blast running the ARCA car with them. And to your point, if you want to have fun, come on over, sim500.com, get registered, come on out and race.
Still waiting to talk to Josh Parker, Wesley Donaldson for another moment here. In the meantime, we will talk about, actually, there it is, Josh Parker. Kevin, you want to take that interview?
Yeah, Josh Parker, 3rd place finish after a 2nd last week. And again, a brawl down the front straightaway. So close, but I guess those worn tires just proved to be your nemesis tonight.
Yeah, it's, the tires were definitely a disadvantage. It's just, like I was just talking to Wesley about it, I don't know, man. He's pissed I threw a block on him. There's, when you throw a that's racing, right? And I'm telling him, I'm putting you in a position to be able to make a move, and I get shoved in the outside wall all 4 for the second week in a row, to where I have like, yeah, it is what it is,
Yeah.
Kevin. But you know what? I think I'm gonna change the interview from last week, because last week was embarrassing. This week, you know what? 3rd place, we gotta be happy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Josh. It was a valid move getting out front. The Clean Air really looked like it had an advantage tonight. Was that true?
Yeah, it's. I think we're all still learning the car, so we're using a lot of things that went into that decision. One was we couldn't get it, I think, a green flag run longer than 5 laps. And then the other thing was just the Clean Air at the start. I just felt like we were gonna have 5-6 lap runs like we did there, and I had a feeling I wasn't gonna win the race, but it was definitely the call to finish top 3. I thought Fuller was gonna win, but him and Tom. I don't even know what happened to Fuller, to be honest with you. But once Fuller came into second, I was completely okay with just him driving by me and setting sail. But that move was more of a top 5 finish, I guess you'd say. I mean, but in my head when I first made the move, it was a win-win situation. We go long, I win. We go short, there's a bunch of yellows, I fight for it. I just wanted the ball to be in my court and not the game's court. So that was what.
That's what it felt like for us. Those cautions actually probably preserved a little bit of tire, but unfortunately you were just at too much of a deficit. It looked like the 51 got into the 84 and then stepped out himself. And it sure looked like, and we heard from Tommy Ryan, that if you slid the car at all, you paid the price for it for a couple laps. High line, bottom line, what was the preference tonight? Did you feel like there was a better place to be in this slippery racetrack?
To be honest, I'm not sure. This was my first race with this new build. I don't think I was even in the position to learn that extent of it. Like, I was literally just trying to learn the aero, how to not spin it out at Chicago. Like, I got to put in a lot more laps to understand this top, whatever they changed in the tire. But the one thing I do notice is I can feel the independent suspension a lot more over the bumps, and I feel like that's what people are feeling in the suspension, unloading and reloading over the bumps independently, and it's kicking the car sideways. I noticed that a bunch through 3 and 4. I was using it to my advantage at sometimes, but other times you hit that bump the wrong way, it got you super tight. But that's the one thing I definitely feel is there's a lot more travel in the suspension to make it feel more of in the track, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you go back and look at that final lap, that little bit of looseness you experienced off turn 2 opened the opportunity for the last lap.
Nah, he just got me in a wall. That's all.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I gave him the bottom to give him a lane, and he shoved me in the wall. I don't think that had anything to do with me getting loose. I was actually tight.
Yeah, tell me, when you went down on the apron on the front stretch, it looked like you were probably the only driver going down to the grass.
Yeah, I think I was doing something wrong.
I was wondering about that because you seemed to use it to your advantage. You really didn't lose any momentum going up.
I didn't win the race.
You were so close, Josh.
So,
well, a second and a third in 2 weeks.
It's funny that you noticed that, because I was thinking that when I was in the lead. I was like, I'm the only dumbass doing this right now, and I just feel like I'm doing something wrong right now.
I honestly was trying to see. I went back and watched a couple laps just to see how it affected the car, and it seemed like probably the one thought that I had is you drifted up to turn 1 in order to arc down into the corner. You had a longer run, which made the car turn over more, and I was wondering if that was better or worse from that standpoint. But again, with the change, it's hard to tell. But you know what? A second and a third. Going to Pocono next week before the break. That's not a bad way to start the summer.
No, I usually go to Pocono every year. I'm not going to go this year, but so I normally miss this
Me too.
race. Really? We want to go?
We're going racing on Saturday at New Egypt, so I'm not going.
Oh God,
I'll be
yeah,
watching
so-
it from TV, unfortunately.
Yeah, first year in a while. So, but I usually miss this race. So I'm actually pumped. I mean, I love Pocono. It's a fun track. To me, that's one of a driver's track, right? You make a difference there. But yeah, no, I need these runs. I was looking at the points. I'm in like 31st or something. So I gotta make some type of run here.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Is this the beginning? You're up 5, 25th in points right now, and it's not too late to put your name in the hat for a championship run. And if you keep doing this, come on.
Yeah, but the problem is if you make the thing, you set expectations, and if you don't hit them, you feel bad.
No pressure. All right, Josh. Well, we get to talk to you 2 weeks in a row, and you get to give a shout out, and you seem to be in a little better headspace tonight. So tell us, who do you want to thank
I
before we
want to
send
thank.
you on the
Hey,
road?
first of all, I want to thank you guys doing the broadcast. You guys are. I thank you guys last week. I'm gonna thank you guys this week because we had some issues, but I really gotta thank Joey. Joey, man, I give Joey a lot of credit. He sticks up for the group that we have racing here, and it's good to see that.
Okay, Josh Parker, third place tonight. Oh, so close, and I can imagine there's wins right around the corner for you. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, Josh, and we'll turn it over to Sean and see if we can catch up with Wesley Donaldson in the waiting room as he could tell us about his second place finish tonight.
Thanks, Kevin. And with that, we will quickly talk to Wesley Donaldson. Wesley, congratulations. That 91 Chevrolet looked really fast here tonight. From your perspective, you're kind of in and out of the top 5 quite a bit there. What did you need to be able to maybe get up front there with Ryan in that long run?
I mean, I feel like I was just as fast as anybody was out there today. Even when I was on older tires and took the lead initially there from Tyler. I think it's just I didn't really like how it felt in clean air, which is like a weird thing to say at this point in time because you'd think clean air would be king, but it was just a little bit loose, especially over the bumps there in 3 and 4, and that was ultimately how I gave up the lead. I think if that doesn't happen and those cautions start coming, I think it's a completely different story. But then once you slip back to like 5th, it's just a little too hard to make up time, and ultimately just ran out of time. And Tommy's really fast, so once he got away, it's a pretty slim chance of catching him.
Wesley, we've seen a couple different drivers really all over the racetrack here tonight. Some being down right on that bottom line, some being up near against the wall, especially through 1 and 2. It looked like you were able to kind of run the car in a couple different places. What was the difference from a driver's perspective, and which line kind of felt the best as you went through the night?
I know, at least for me personally, I like driving a loose race car, so the idea that it was a little unstable was not too bad for me. But I think the big thing, like I mentioned before, was the bumps, especially in 3 and 4. Something with this new build, that these cars seem like really sensitive to like if you've got too much wheel in it, especially if you've got too much wheel in it while you're full throttle. So really, it was just waiting for the right time to get full throttle, especially in 3 and 4. You kind of get over those bumps and before you really get into it. But yeah, I felt like I was decent with tire saving and everything along with it. But I mean, like I said, I like driving a loose race car, so that helped me a little bit.
Well, the car played to his advantage. Wes, congratulations on the top 3 spot here tonight. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again here real soon, and we appreciate the time.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we'll wrap up race coverage. Kevin, another exciting one in the books here. I appreciate you joining me in the booth tonight. Next week, Pocono, in a couple short words, what are you looking forward to there?
Just an outstanding race. I love the fact that the front stretch is so long. Turn 1 is different. Turn 2 is different. Turn 3 is different. And I want to see how these drivers attack the racetrack.
They're going to take the new build and these Cup cars over to Pocono next Monday night right here on Turn 1, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. You catch us live. Kevin and I will be right here on Turn 1 for your enjoyment. Across all of our different streaming platforms, we appreciate you being here. And on behalf of the league admins, I'm Sean Fitz. Until next time, we will we'll meet again soon. Tomorrow night, DRS comes over to Turn 1, and then we head back to the ARCA series with Sim 500. Until then, have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.